Krishna. Today I'll try my best to discuss about a Leela that I have heard. Um, please forgive me. Prabhuji, we lost the page. Please forgive me if I make any mistakes. Whatever I am going to share today is going to be from a lecture that I recently heard, and it was given by Hare Krishna. It was given by Adi Gadadhar Das Prabhu. And there are some points that I have from a lecture that I heard by Radhanath Maharaj and Amarendra Prabhu. So we'll start with this. Prabhuji, if you could help me in what tune you sing this, Ava Avadhutere Jutha Lagilo.
Hare Krishna Madhuri. I'm also not very good at it, but I can try. अवधू तेरा जूथा लागिला मोरा अंगे परम पवित्र मोरे कैला एई ढंगे.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I'll read the translation. When the rice thrown by Nityananda Prabhu touched his body, Advaita Acharya thought himself purified by touch of remnant thrown by Paramhansa Nityananda. Therefore, he began dancing. I'll read the purport, is a little small. The word Avaduta refers to one above all rules and regulations. Sometimes not observing all rules and regulations of a sannyasi, Nityananda Prabhu exhibited the behavior of a mad Avaduta. He threw the remnant of the food on the ground, and some of these remnant touched the body of Advaitacharya. Advaitacharya accepted this happily because he presented himself as a member of the community of Smarta Brahmana. By touching the remnants of the food thrown by Nityananda Prabhu, Advaitacharya immediately felt himself purified of all Samartha contaminations. The remnants of the food left by a pure Vaishnava are called as Maha Prasadam. This is completely spiritual and is identified with Lord Vishnu. Such remnants are not ordinary. The spiritual master is to be considered on the stage of Paramhansa and beyond the jurisdiction of Varnashram institution. The remnants of food left by spiritual master and similar Paramhansas or pure Vaishnavas are purifying. When an ordinary person touches such prasadam, his mind is purified and his mind is raised to the status of a pure Brahmana. The behavior and statement of Advaita Acharya are meant for understanding of ordinary people who are unaware of the strength of spiritual values, not knowing the potency of food left by the bona fide spiritual master and pure Vaishnavas. So, to understand this, what we just read, there is a precap. Like I'll go to what happened before this. There is a little Leela that I'll try to discuss shortly and then we'll come back to this. So I'll start with the story. It goes about. So we'll first discuss how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's day used to be. So basically, to understand this point, we are setting up a scene and trying to understand. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to get up early in the morning by like 3:45ish, and it was Sachi Mataji who used to come and wake him up. By the time he would wake up, already his wife Vishnu Priya Mataji Devi would be on the ghats of Ganga bathing with her intimate sakhis. And then Mahaprabhu would get up, and when he would come out in the courtyard, all his devotees would already be there and they would help him so that he could complete his chores. And then they would go to the ghat, come back after the bath, and they would have a prasadam which was cooked by Sachi Mataji and Vishnu Priya Devi. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his devotees, including Nityananda Prabhu, would go in the streets of Navadvip doing Sankirtana. And people over there, the residents of Navadvip, would get so ecstatic looking at how beautifully the kirtan was done by all the devotees and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that they would get up early too to make fresh flower garlands, and then they would offer it to Mahaprabhu. And some people would get so much in the trance mode that they would give whatever jewelry they would be wearing, they would offer it to Mahaprabhu. And we have to try and understand and imagine this: a 7 foot tall, white, personality with dark, luscious, curly, long hair, would do the Sankirtan. He was really, really ecstatic to look at, and very, very attractive form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go out daily and do this. And then in the evening, after offering prasad, doing arti, offering bhoga, doing arti, taking prasad, honoring the prasad, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and all the other devotees would together at Shivas Acharya's home would have a Sankirtan. And not everybody was allowed there. It was like how they would do it in the morning, where everybody was invited. Unlike that, it was very intimate. So at that time, um, there was once a Brahman who came and he was knocking, banging the door because he wanted to see what is going on inside. And there was a beautiful kirtan going on that time, and nobody had, like, they did not pay attention if somebody is at the door. And then Brahmana started getting agitated more and more. And then finally, somebody opened the door and he said, I want to come in. I am a Brahmana and I want to see what that Mahaprabhu is doing inside. And he said, no, you cannot come. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will not allow us to do that because this is a very intimate Sankirtan that we are having. But definitely you are invited tomorrow in the morning when we come out on the streets. And this Brahmana gets really agitated, upset, frustrated, and leaves that place. And in the morning, next day, when Mahaprabhu is at the Ganga Ghat taking his bath, this Brahmana comes and he holds his Brahmanical thread and breaks it and utters out a curse saying that you will not be able to enter your own house. You will have to leave it all. And the moment he says that, he curses Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the moment he says that, the guilt gushes into him, like, what did he just do? And why did he just do? And he starts weeping and falls down at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, saying, I am so sorry. This is not what I wanted to do. I said such wrong words. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells him, don't worry, I wanted you to do this, is the reason you uttered all those words. This is required for me because I am going to take sannyasa. And obviously, that Brahman did not understand very clearly what he was trying to say, and he was very upset with a very heavy heart. He left. And again, this was one of the set up reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had taken sannyasa. And the second one is what I'm going to tell you now. So one day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was meditating and he was in the mood of Radharani, Srimati Radharani. And he kept calling out Lalita, Vishakha, Rati, Rupa, and he kept out calling out more and more names of gopis. And there was a student Brahman, so-called Brahman, who was passing by, and he's disturbed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, broke his meditation, and told him that you are not going to get anything if you take the name of the gopis. If you want something, then you better take the name of Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at that time was in the mood of Radharani. He got very upset for him, A, being disturbed, B, the Brahman boy student said that you're not going to get anything. So he wanted to stress that very strongly, that you do not chant Krishna's name to get something. We are not chanting his name to get something out of it. And he was very upset and he picked up the stick and ran behind that boy. Just imagine a 7 foot tall man running behind a small Brahmin boy, and he was just out of his breath. The Brahmin boy. Finally, he left because some devotees controlled Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to let him go. And that boy, he went ahead and said, people, oh my God, look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is not, he's gone mad. What he's doing is taking name of gopis. And when I'm telling him to take name of Krishna, he's trying to kill me. He's trying to take my life away. And that's how the mob over there got a little agitated, and they went against Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and obviously Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being the Lord, could sense what is happening. And that time, you must be thinking, I'm just talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and where is Nityananda Prabhu? He will come. So at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said these words, not exactly, but this is what he said. I was here to bring the cough medicine. I bought this cough medicine, and instead of decreasing this cough, I am increasing this cough. How do I reduce this cough? And all those people, all the devotees which were sitting around Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, could not understand what Mahaprabhu was saying. But Nityananda Prabhu was sitting over there, and he at once understood what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was trying to say. And then he took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a secluded place and he told, I understood every bit that you said. What I see is you are going to take sannyas and you are going to leave Sachi Mata and Vishnu Priya Devi. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you understood me thoroughly. I am going to take sannyas. Look at these people. They are criticizing me. If they criticize me, all what they are doing and all what they are getting is aparad. I am not here so that they do more aparad. I am here to help them. I want to help them, and hence I have to figure out something. And I think taking sannyas is a very, very good way of doing it. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept stressing that I have to deliver all these fallen souls. So, one thing that we have to learn over here that I'm trying to emphasize is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the only person who will be able to understand the heart of sorry, I said it wrong. Nityananda Prabhu is the only person who will understand the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we have to follow the directions of Nityananda Prabhu. In the story further, we will also understand and see the reasons how and why. Nityananda Prabhu told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you have to take permission of at least four people before you take this decision, and that is Mukunda Das, Gadadhar Pandit, Sachi Mata, and Vishnu Priya Devi. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became so happy. It's like, okay, so now I know you have at least given me the permission. And thanking you so much for letting me doing this. And then Mahaprabhu went to Mukunda Das and told him about all what his plan is of taking a sannyas and leaving and going around and preaching. And he just wept and wept and wept. They are such intimate associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they could not believe that they will have to live without Mahaprabhu. And he said, you cannot do this to us. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this is what I really want to do, please let me do it, he just bowed down his head and agreed. And then again, Mahaprabhu was so happy and ecstatic. Then he went to Gadadhar Pandit, and then Gadadhar Pandit also first refuted it that this is not how you should do it. You cannot leave Sachi Mata and Vishnu Priya Devi just like that. They will die. How can you even do this? But it's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being him, he just made him agree to it. And Gadadhar Pandit also surrendered and said, yes, Prabhu, whatever you do, we are there with you. And then it was the tough part that he had to do, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was to go and talk to Sachi Mata and Vishnu Priya Devi. So he goes over there to Sachi Mata and he tries to tell her what they are planning to do. But before that, he actually arranges kirtan in the evening at his courtyard in his house. And once everybody is done with the kirtan, Haridas knows that something is not really right, so he stays back. And then he tells Sachi Mata, that what his plans are, that he wants to take sannyas. And Sachi Mata just falls down on the ground, saying that you cannot do this to me. Your elder brother Vishwarup left, and then we lost your father. I've already lost 8 of my daughters, and you cannot leave us like that. I'm a 70-year-old woman. I'll die if you go. But he tells Sachimata, I am Krishna, and you have always been my mother. You were Yashoda when I was Krishna. You were Kaushalya when I was Ram. You are Sachima when I am now here standing in front of you. And When he consoled her, she agreed to it, but still she was obviously taken aback, being mother. And then when he went inside the room to tell Vishnu Priya Devi, she had already heard every bit of it, and she was weeping. Like her clothes were drenched into tears because of the way she was weeping, because how could she let him go? And the same way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained it to Vishnu Priya Devi that you have always been my eternal consort and you are going to be there with me forever. And then he gives her a deity and tells her that this deities you can pray to, worship, and I will be there with them whenever you want. And he also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also showed her his four-armed form. And after seeing that, Vishnu Priya Devi obviously surrendered to its Lord. And if you see in all these things, I forgot to mention, when Mukunda Das was being talked about it, he said, like, what will other devotees think? How will they live? How will they survive? Same thing was said by Gadadhar Pandit. And Sachi Mata was also like, I am 70 years old, I will die. And if I die, the 16-year-old Vishnu Priya Devi, who will take care of her? What will happen to her? Similarly, Vishnu Priya Devi was like, if you go, and how will your mother survive? I'm young, but what will happen to your mother? Everybody was talking about others, like not like, oh, mera kya hoga. It wasn't like that. It was more like, how will so and so person deal with it? Which we can learn over here, that Nityananda Prabhu empowers all his devotees. So this is also one of the point that we can learn, because Nityananda Prabhu was the person who told Mahaprabhu to go and take permission from all of them. So it is Nityananda Prabhu who generally shields us. He gives us the power to take such strong decisions when we have to. So when this decision was taken that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to take sannyasa, it was supposed to be the very next day at early morning. And then Nityanand Prabhu, uh, before just like the, or after he spoke to everybody, and then when the sun rose, before that he just left the house. And here again you can see uh, Nitai, that is Nityanand Prabhu, he churns your heart and brings the best in you. If you see, as I mentioned before, everybody was talking about each other's feeling, what the emotions that they will go through if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not there in your life. Nityanand Prabhu is the power that you get the power from Nityanand Prabhu in such a way that you can have selfless services towards God. Like he's just like Balaram. You see, he is obviously incarnation of Balaram, but what I'm trying to say is, like, Balaram brings his haladara to scrape out the dirt from your heart. Similarly, Nitai is the person who churns your heart to bring the best out of you. He brought best out of all the devotees who were present at that very time. And then it was already decided by Mahaprabhu that he'll be going to Khatwa. And now that he's left for Khatwa, he had to swim through the Ganga and then go across the river and then travel to Khatwa. But Nityanand Prabhu was already instructed to go there along with Mukunda and Chandrasekharacharya and beg for alms for sannyas ceremony that was going to take place the very next day. So you see, most of the tough jobs that are there are always given to Nityananda Prabhu, and he exhibits them very, very beautifully. So Nityanand Prabhu, at that time when all the talkings were being done back at home, he was already at work. He was begging to get some alms so that they could arrange for the sannyas ceremony that was supposed to happen the very next day, the morning. So if you see, like Lakshman, he also was given most of the time he was given the toughest jobs where you have to have a very strong heart. Lakshman was asked to go and leave Sita Mata in Valmiki's ashram. And so so he's also called as Shesh, right? Shesh Nag. So Shesh means leftover. So when you say leftover, it's like whatever work which Krishna did not complete is completed by uh, Nityananda Prabhu. We also heard this. about the Shesh description by Natasha Mataji yesterday, a day before yesterday. So he's always given the hard, most tough job that needs to be accomplished. So he was also given the job of arranging for a barber who will shave the head of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which again was a very, very tough job, because who had the heart and the nerve to shave that beautiful hair of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? As I said before, they were like lustrous, black, curly, beautiful, long hair, and nobody could even imagine Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that form, and hence Madhu was the barber which Nityananda Prabhu arranged for, which was again a very, very tough job for him to do. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Khatwa the next morning, and the entire sannyas ceremony took place, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas from Keshava Bharati Maharaj. He took his initiation, prior initiation, from Ishwarpuri. So there was one question that why he did not take the initiation, sannyas from Ishwarpuri again. So there were two reasons that Prabhu gave. The acharyas explain is one, Ishwarpuri was not present at that very moment when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided about taking sannyas, and also Ishwarpuri used to like go around preaching people. He did not have a proper institution kind of thing. And Keshav Bharati Maharaj did have. And the whole reason of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking sannyas from him was he wanted to do things in a very systematic, structured manner so that he can make a beautiful example for the masses to understand. So this is the reason why Keshav Bharati Maharaj was selected to give him sannyas. So once he was given sannyas and his head was shaved and entire process was done, then there was a beautiful celebration which Nityanand Prabhu was, what you say, like controlling from outside inside whether things are going properly or no. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Nityananda Prabhu that I need to go to Vrindavan, and that's where I will start from the first thing. But Nityanand Prabhu, instead of taking him to north, decided to take him to south. Why he took him to south is they planned to meet everybody in Shantipur. Now I'll tell you why. Uh, so if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the heart and soul of Navdvip, if he would leave, people would die. That was for sure. So the next day, people had already planned to have a mass suicide program. Like they just decided we cannot live if there is no Chaitanya Mahaprabhu around us. If Nimai is not there, we just cannot be alive in this world. And everybody just walked together to commit suicide. And that's when Nityanand Prabhu spoke. They could hear, everybody could hear his voice, that I will bring back Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shantipur in just 2 days. So everybody, please stay where you are. So Nityananda Prabhu wanted to save everybody. And one more thing you can understand from this is Nityananda Prabhu is the person who brings Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in your life. And Nityananda Prabhu brought him back to meet everybody in Shantipur. So this was also one of the point that Prabhu was stressing in his lecture, that it is only Nityanand Prabhu's mercy that you can get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in your life. So, well, obviously, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not aware that Nityanand Prabhu is taking him to Shantipur instead of Vrindavan. Obviously, I'm sure he was aware he is the Lord himself. But at that time, he wasn't aware and he was just following the directions of Nityanand Prabhu. And Nityanand Prabhu had planned out everything. He had sent messages to people to come down to Shantipur, and they will be seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Advaita Acharya was asked to cook a beautiful, like huge amount of food preparations for him in the honor of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then there was one very nice incident where Nityanand Prabhu told couple of gwalas like who were there to say, if somebody asks you, is this Vrindavan? Just say yes, this is Vrindavan. See, there is river Yamuna, And they just like agreed. They just followed what Nityanand Prabhu said. And then behind came Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he asked, "Where is Vrindavan? Where is River Yamuna?" And they pointed, there is Vrindavan. This is Vrindavan over here, and there is River Yamuna. And they kept chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And seeing this, Mahaprabhu was so happy that he placed his hand on the head of those kids and blessed them and said that keep chanting, you very good souls. And he moved ahead. So this again, Prabhu was stressing such a good point, that you follow what Nityanand Prabhu is telling you to do, and you get the mercy of the Lord directly. So if you want Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be there in your life, follow what Nityanand Prabhu tells you just blindly, because he's going to take you where you have to go. So, and then in ecstatic love, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jumped into that river thinking it is Yamuna, and he started like taking bath. And then in front came a boat filled of people from Navdvip, and Advaita Acharya was rowing the boat. And he was so surprised, like, how did you come to Vrindavan? It was like, Mahaprabhu, wherever you are, it is Vrindavan. And he understood that they are like kidding with me. This is not Vrindavan. And he said, yes, this is not Vrindavan. You are in Shantipur, but Prabhu, wherever you are, that place is Vrindavan, no less than Vrindavan. So then you so then everybody started to gather for the festival that they wanted to have. They wanted to celebrate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Everybody was very like heartbroken when they saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with like shaved head. So those beautiful hair locks were gone, and the garment that he was wearing was simply two-piece um, cloth, saffron cloth. That's it. And they were not used to seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like this. They were used to see him in beautiful, lustrous silk robes, and like so many jewelries offered by people, the residents of Navdvip, and beautiful hair. So they were a little heartbroken and upset to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that attire. And they were like so choked, they could not talk. And it was little, the atmosphere wasn't very light. But to make the atmosphere light and happy and beautiful, again came Nityananda Prabhu. He started to crack jokes just to lighten the moment, and because obviously he cannot see his devotees upset. So he just wanted to lighten up the moment. So he started teasing Advaita Acharya. You have invited us for feast over here, so where is the feast? And then he showed him all the 10 type of rice that he had made, and 20 type of sabzis that he made. And just to tease him, just to lighten up the moment, Nityanand Prabhu is like, what are you going to serve me? Scraps? I don't eat such less food. Like, you don't have any variety. I'm not enjoying this thing. And Advaita Acharya was also playing and teasing with him and saying, what do you mean you are not enjoying this food? Look at the amount of food I have made. And I am a very, very poor Brahmin. This is the most I can afford. Now eat that food. And then he served him that plate, a beautiful plate, banana leaf plate for both Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu. And Nityanand Prabhu was just fidgeting with him. Oh, you're not even serving me properly. You have to serve me with whole heart. Oh, you did not even give me this sabzi. Oh, this thing is not done very nicely. So he just kept criticizing in a fun manner, not to condemn a person, just to like lighten up the situation, and this, so that people could have smiles and laughs back on their faces. And in that joke only, he picked up rice, a little bit of rice, and threw it at Advaita. You are not doing your job properly. And then when that rice that was thrown by Nityanand Prabhu, that touched Advait Acharya. And that was the time he became so pure that he started to dance. So if you remember, even Atul Prabhu had mentioned about this Mahaprasadam that we eat. What is Mahaprasadam and what is Mahaprasadam? Mahaprasad is the plate that you offer to Lord, and that remnants that you get is Mahaprasad. And from that plate, if a devotee, a pure devotee eats, and that remnant that you get, that is Maha Prasad. So this Maha Prasad had touched Advait Acharya, which just made him in such an ecstatic situation, he could not stop dancing. That is when he had so much love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gushing in his body that he could not actually control himself. So here, even the acharyas tell that Nityanand Prabhu is the person who actually gives you Krishna Prem. He is the one who gives you Swarup Siddhi. He will make your life successful because of the Krishna Prem that he is giving you. He will release you from all the material bondage, all the material miseries that we have in this life, just because he is the only one who will give you Krishna Prem. He tells us to become like a honeybee. We also read it in the translation today in the song. He tells you to become like a honeybee. Be around that honey, and that honey is Krishna Prem, and that Krishna Prem is in Krishna's name itself. So this is how I come down to this translation and this shloka, that I was just trying to give you a little bit of what happened before this, and how Nityanand Prabhu is the person who he's so merciful, who's always there. He's basically the background hero. He comes up in every situation, like to do anything. There is a very strong support that you need, and that is Nityanand Prabhu's mercy. We also see the way he used to preach. If we remember how Balaram was, he was pretty strict. How Lakshman was, he was pretty strict, and he used to follow his rules and regulations very nicely. Um, he, like, for say example, when Balaram had to kill Pralambasur, he just killed him in like one punch. And when Krishna would kill the demons, he would play around with them, fidget with them. That does not absolutely mean that Balram was more powerful. No, but it's just like Balram was very straightforward, and Krishna is, he likes to play and fidget with people, and then he is very on the naughty side, and he is on very stern side. But in this Swarup, when Nityanand Prabhu was there, he was so kind, he was so humble. Like, people would, even if people would kick him, he would take it. He would go door to door to people's house just because he wanted them to chant the Harinam. And this is the orders that he was following of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, spread this word, tell people to have Sankirtan. This is the only way out of this material bondage. Go door to door and please preach them this. And Nityanand Prabhu would go door to door and ask everybody to please take the name of Hari. Some people were very amazing, very nice, very kind-hearted, would just follow what he said. Some people would blaspheme him, even sometimes beat him, but still he would be begging in front of them, just please take the name of the Hari. We also have the example of the story of Jagai and Madai, which was very nicely told by Natasha Mataji yesterday, where it was, these were two people who were intoxicated, and under that intoxication, and also because they were pretty like, not very kind people, they actually took a clay pot, a broken clay pot, and smashed on Nityanand Prabhu's head, and it was blood everywhere. In Bhagavad Gita we see Krishna's body is not like us, and Nityanand Prabhu is Krishna's root. But still, why he had blood everywhere? So because he knew, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knows that I am hurt, he will come here, and this is the only way I can get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come to these fallen souls and get them delivered. This is the reason there was so much blood flowing. And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and got his Sudarshan out, Nityanand Prabhu was praying to beg for mercy for them, for the people who had actually harmed him. So he was a person who had very too much compassion for people, and who was very kind-hearted, extremely merciful. So after Jagai and Madai, realized what they had done, and were also forgiven by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One day they came to Nityananda Prabhu and they begged the plead again that we just cannot get the guilt out of our head and mind that what we have done is so wrong. And that's when Nityananda Prabhu ordered them to stay at a ghat and serve people whoever comes over there. And that's what actually they both Jagai and Madai did. They would clean the feet of the people whoever would come at the ghat. And some people would be very kind. Some people would also get angry and throw stone at them because of the previous deeds that they had, very, very cruel deeds. And Jagai and Madai would pick up that stone and hand it over to those people and join their hands and say, we deserve much worse than what you just did. Please do more because that is all what we deserve. And seeing this mood of Jagai and Madai, people would like their heart would melt and they would let it go. And so if you see the source of this kindness, this mercy, this humility was Nityananda Prabhu. So we understand how beautifully he had a different way of preaching in Kali Yuga and what kind of different mood he had in other yugas. So here I end whatever I had to say. Uh, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandatanam. Great, Mataji, great. Excellent. Very nice. Okay. So anybody would like to ask questions to Mataji?
Yeah, I like to ask questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the Chaitanya Prabhu and Nityanand Prabhu, they both came at the same time. You mean it's like a Krishna and Balram, they both came at the same time?
Mataji, Nityananda Prabhu came 12 to 14 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay, so but he's not one of the 10 avatar, right? Of God.
No, no, Mataji.
Okay.
Balaram ji is, he's the eighth one. But Nityanand Prabhu is
So,
not.
so what are you asking, Nirmala Mataji? Who is one of the 10th avatar? Are you talking about Nityanand Prabhu or what?
Yeah, Nityanand Prabhu.
So Mataji, Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya, they are hidden avatars. So they are not mentioned as avatars uh, as commonly because there was a purpose because of which Lord Chaitanya appeared. So therefore, even though they are avatars actually, but they are not talked about as much. That's why we never heard of them, right?
Yeah, I
Actually,
never even seen the temple. So
yeah. So actually, they are avatars, and they are actually going to be spreading the holy name in Kali Yuga, and that is their plan. Uh, so right now, already we see in last 500 years, or rather, especially in the last few years, how much this has spread all over the world. This is all because of the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is very very important to understand that even though they are not commonly known, but actually scriptures talk about them. Scriptures have so many scriptural references of them being God, but those who are not well versed with scriptures, they don't know. So common people don't know. But this is the beauty in Kali Yuga. Lord Himself came in this form.
thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay, great. Any other questions anybody has? Ansh is saying otherwise. Ansh, tell, what are you saying? Ansh wants to play Kahoot quiz on Nityananda Prabhu. I have it ready. So if devotees want to share something, they can share. Otherwise, we can play. What do you want?